Perhaps the worst kept secret in the NBA is that Kevin Durant of the Phoenix Suns may well be on his way out of town. This is someone who, throughout his entire NBA career, has not shied away from taking advantage of the possibilities that are open to him. Because for Kevin Durant, he knows that his individual excellence speaks for itself. You can put him anywhere in the league, he's going to find a way to get a bucket. This is one of the best plug and play scorers that we have ever seen. And with that, he kind of has free reign to do whatever he wants. Because a lot of guys, you have to worry about their fit. But with Kevin Durant, he's going to find a way to more than make things work wherever he goes. And sometimes that can lead to championships. Look at him in the Golden State Warriors. And then sometimes it doesn't work out. Look at the Nets. Look at the Phoenix Suns. But at the end of the day, this is a very valuable piece that many NBA teams would be willing to give up a lot for. And for good reason. Kevin Durant is not concerned with how loyalty may affect his legacy. He's worried about how his play and his team's success is going to affect his legacy. Because he recognizes that in the moment, there is going to be criticism directed at him. Maybe he didn't handle a situation the best. Maybe he was the villain of the NBA when he left the Thunder for the Warriors. Maybe that bridge was kind of burnt when he left Golden State. Maybe his stint with Brooklyn Nets didn't work out. Maybe Phoenix Suns, that one's not working out too well either. But 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, time has a way of allowing us to forget the lows and simply remember the highs of a player's career, in which nostalgia creates this feeling, this sense of a player whose legacy is best remembered by the moments of their successes and not their failures. For example, let's consider the debate about the greatest of all time between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Given that LeBron James is still playing in the league today, and because this is a player who is deemed to have such a high stature, there's a lot of criticism that can be directed his way because everything that he does is put under a microscope, and his mistakes are going to be magnified. Because at the end of the day, that is the job of the analyst to be able to critique the game of LeBron James. And especially with social media, he has one bad clip and all of a sudden that can spread like wildfire. And then on the other hand, with Michael Jordan, he wasn't perfect. He was pretty close. They call him the GOAT for a reason. But he had his failures too. But as time has progressed, those get lost. And what remains are the memories of the incredible highs of Michael Jordan. And in 20 years, I think we could be saying the same thing about LeBron. And even when he retires, there's going to be a lot of people who hated to play against him that are going to show up and give their flowers to LeBron finally because now his career is in the rearview mirror. And that's the perfect time to slow down, step back, and reflect on everything that he's done, all of his accomplishments. Same thing with Kevin Durant. His legacy will be defined by his championships with the Warriors, maybe by leaving OKC, because that was such a monumental moment. But these stints of Phoenix with Brooklyn, those don't matter as much to KD in his mind. And he's more than willing to go elsewhere if it means that he believes he can find success with another team. But then the question stands, who is that team going to be? And there are three teams that really stand out to me. First of all, I want to begin with the Oklahoma City Thunder because we were just talking about KD, his legacy, how maybe if there's going to be any stain on it as we go 20 years down the line, if there is any stain that is going to be left on the legacy of Kevin Durant, it is going to be the manner in which he left the Thunder. Because the biggest knock on Kevin Durant is the fact that he doesn't really have a home. No matter how incredible he is at his best, there always is seemingly some factor that inhibits Kevin Durant from being able to call any place that he has played home. Golden State, feud with Draymond. Brooklyn Nets, that stint was marred with disappointment. Phoenix Suns, it never really got going. And when he left OKC the first time, he became the villain of the NBA. So with that, Kevin Durant has never really had a home. But what if he goes back to Oklahoma City? No matter how the fans might have felt when he left originally, when you get someone like Kevin Durant on your team, that's cause for celebration. And it can spark instantaneous excitement. And there are two reasons that Kevin Durant could go to Oklahoma City. One is the fact that if we're talking about his legacy, Kevin Durant is someone who is focused on success first and connections second. In the Oklahoma City Thunder, They are in the NBA Finals. They won 68 games in the regular season. They don't need Kevin Durant to win, but Kevin Durant could sure be yet another piece of their puzzle. Similar to what he did when he joined Golden State, in which the Warriors were already a great team, and Kevin Durant just took them over the top to an even greater extent. Similarly, here, Kevin Durant could find himself with one more chance to win a ring, because the last couple experiments, they haven't really worked out for him. But now he's joining a team that is already very sound. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub, and so many perimeter defenders like Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, or other key contributors like Isaiah Hartenstein, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. This is a more than sound team, and if Kevin Durant goes there, there's a good chance he's going to find success. And this is someone who his legacy is based upon his desire to find success. And then, secondly, talking about his legacy, how about the fact that he hasn't had a home? For Oklahoma City, if he came back, that could be a home for him, especially if he gives his all in terms of effort there. And seems truly happy to be a Thunder once again. Maybe that could ease some of that tension away. And now he returns to the franchise that had first drafted him, that had watched him grow. And maybe Kevin Durant could finally find a home once again. Second team I've got here is the Houston Rockets. And this is a team that has been linked to Kevin Durant quite a bit, because the Rockets could really use a trustworthy, high-level, number one scoring option. Matter of fact, Kevin Durant's teammate Devin Booker has been linked here as well. Although recently one article has reported that the Rockets, they're not interested in Devin Booker much more or anymore. Let's consider who the Houston Rockets are for a second. This is a team that is undoubtedly a playoff contender with quite a bit of talent on the roster, but they're not quite at that next level. And a big factor for that is that they don't necessarily have someone to go to in clutch moments. Who's that going to be? Jalen Green? Someone who has shown potential at times, but overall has been very, very inconsistent. And if they need a go-to option, there's not many better in the history of the NBA than Kevin Durant. You have a team around him with the likes of Fred VanVleet, even Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Alperen Sengun. That's a pretty solid team. And even if Jalen Green, I think he could even be a trade piece, and you send him to the Suns. So that way for Phoenix, at least they have some young talent, even if he's still quite unproven, quite raw as a player. And maybe if they went to rebuild, that's someone that they could develop. Kevin Durant would slot in pretty nicely with the Houston Rockets. Now, if that's the direction the Rockets want to go, that remains to be seen. Once again, they're reportedly not too interested in D-Book anymore. So how would they then feel about KD? And then the last spot here for Kevin Durant is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, for all of these situations, I think there's a decent chance that KD could end up in any of these places. But for the Minnesota Timberwolves, this is a spot that I can really envision KD being there. Because if you're Minnesota, you know you have something with Anthony Edwards. This guy is a superstar, and it's not only in the regular season, come postseason time, he doesn't shy away from the moment, and he carries with him a competitive fire and a distinct intensity. And that is so important as a player to have, to be able to take you to that next level. And Anthony Edwards, he's only going to get better. That's the crazy thing. He's already so good, but he's still so young. He's 23 years old. And you know someone who Ant has been compared to quite a bit? Dwayne Wade. And D Wade won his first ring with the Heat when he was very, very young. Miami brought in Shaquille O'Neal, this veteran who helped take them to a ring. In Minnesota could follow a similar line of thinking with their own version of D Wade and Anthony Edwards. And the veteran is Kevin Durant. There's also kind of the personal connection there, in which Anthony Edwards has looked up to Kevin Durant as kind of an idol. But not only that, it's one thing to look up to this player. It's another in how you go about showing that, because Kevin Durant, once again, is someone who is looking for success. And Anthony Edwards has the mindset to take him there. Because last season, in the playoffs, it wasn't all buddy-buddy for Ant on the court. Instead, he was actively going at Kevin Durant because this was his idol. And if Kevin Durant sees that drive, sees that intensity, sees that desire from Ant to win at the highest level, I think that could be a really, really good sign for KD and something that he really wants to be a part of. They're building a culture over in Minnesota. This is a franchise that for the longest time found themselves on very much the wrong end of NBA history, but now they're building something special over there. And KD could very much want to be a part of that. You also have the Team USA connection, in which there's a familiarity on the court with these two as well. And then looking at the rest of this team, because of course Anthony Edwards, that's the main appealing factor, but Minnesota is going to make some major changes more than likely this offseason. First of all, financially, they're going to have to make a decision with those big men in Julius Randle, Nas Reed, and Rudy Gobert. And secondly, even if they did not have to make a decision and likely have to get rid of one of those guys moving forward, this team lost in 5 to the Thunder. And there's no shame in losing to OKC. However, if you want to be at the top of the league, you're going to have to beat the Thunder. And the Timberwolves, for a couple years there, what they did so well when the Nuggets were at the top of the West was that they matched up really well against Denver. But now you've got a new juggernaut, and that's the Thunder. And the way the team is constructed right now, they didn't have it in them to beat the Thunder. But you bring in KD, maybe that's the spark that puts you over the top, brings you over the edge. It allows you to topple the Thunder because those are the people. That is the team, especially with their youth, that's going to be around for a while in the West, at the top every year, based off our current outlook. And so Minnesota, they might be looking to respond and try to do something about that the same way they did something about Denver. And in conclusion, for Kevin Durant, this is yet another piece in what's going to be a very, very interesting offseason. There are, of course, the question marks, the rumors circulating of Russell Westbrook going to play in Europe, which I don't think is going to happen. Could Giannis be on the move? There's a lot of moving pieces this offseason, but perhaps the biggest is the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. Only time will tell where he ends up, but this is a generational kind of talent. And no matter what his age is, you plug him in to any team, he's going to be a good fit. He's going to be an incredible scorer and tremendously impactful. And ultimately, I think we're all just waiting to see where Kevin Durant wants to go.